Hello, my fellow biblionuts, my fellow adventurers of books. I would like to welcome you to the start of the Spooky Season Reading Vlogs, Volume 3. Yes, Volume 3. We are now, what are we in? We are in, I believe, Week 3 of Spooky Season of October. And I've been hit with that Halloween mood for some time now. And I've just been living the high life of October, and I've been loving every second. Every book that I've been picking up has lately been a lot of magical school books. I'm almost done with Harry Potter, and I don't almost want to finish it. And then I've been feeling picking up A Deadly Education because I just love magical schools, and I feel like this time is perfect for them. But with Harry Potter, I only have a couple more chapters. I'm at the part where Harry and Dumbledore are traveling to the cave, and now that the end is drawing near, I am afraid that a lot of things are going to happen, and I have no idea where it's going to go, honestly. Like, I'm pretty scared, honestly, because, like, I have no idea with, like, Malfoy and Snape, because they might be going on with something. I'm deep down, I'm hoping that Snape is really good, and he's on the good side, but I don't know, after hearing Professor Trelawney kind of tell the story about Snape listening in on Harry's prophecy, I don't know whether to trust him. And Malfoy is definitely doing something he's not supposed to. And then also with Tonks, I'm also a bit skeptical as to whether she's on the good side anymore. Like with that meeting with Harry she had, and she was rubbing her forearm, she might be a Death Eater now, and I don't want that to be true, because she's one of my favorite characters. I just love her humor and everything that she brings to the Order. And then the Half-Blood Prince, I honestly don't know who it could be. Either, I have two guesses. It's either going to be Voldemort, because we just know that he likes to put himself in books, as we found out in the Chamber of Secrets, or it's going to be Snape. Those are my two guesses. I don't know who else to honestly guess. I guess we'll find out here pretty soon. And this book in general, I feel like it's just been a big setup for the final book. It also gives you just Hogwarts and the life of their 6th year at Hogwarts, and just learning more about Voldemort's past, Tom Riddle's past, and just understanding more about like how these Horcruxes are gonna play a role in this final book is crazy. And now Dumbledore and Harry are out to find one and destroy one in this mysterious cave. But I just think it's interesting how his soul, Voldemort's soul, is in each of these different objects, and how they're connected to Hogwarts. And yeah, this book has just been a giant setup, I believe, for this final book in the series. I can't believe that I'm saying that I'm almost done with Harry Potter. It's a sad time. But we have to get to some good news and some happy news. Harry and Ginny, I knew it was going to happen. I just knew. I think we all knew that it was going to eventually happen. Now, Harry and Ron, not Harry and Ron, Hermione and Ron, it's only a matter of time for them as well. I have a feeling that it may happen in this book, but if not, definitely in the next book, because I just know. We all know. I'm also continuing listening to Edge of Eternity. It's the final book in the Century Trilogy by Ken Follett, and right now it's just been continuing on with kind of the civil rights movement, and just Martin Luther doing his I Have a Dream speech. And every time like I hear more about just like these historical events, it makes me wonder like what it would have been like to be there and to listen to one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches, because he's just a well-known great speaker and just so inspirational. So it makes me like wonder what it would have been like to be there at the Washington Monument and to hear him speak. Like, I don't know, I feel like it would have changed me a ton. It's also just got to the point of the assassination of JFK down in Dallas, and it also makes me question whether like what would have happened if that never happened. Like, would we be where we are today if that never happened? And it's also been kind of hinting at the start of the kind of Vietnam War, and then I'm really excited to eventually get to the space race, and that is going to be probably the highlight of the book for me, is just learning more about that, because I love space and understanding how that kind of played out because I was never taught in school. And then finally, I'm still slowly, very slowly, making my way through Watchmen. It's not that I don't want to pick it up, it's just like I've been loving all these other books that I haven't been kind of putting more time into it. But I love every kind of page that's within it and learning more about these kind of ragtag heroes and just learning more about them. I don't know why I haven't picked it up, like, because I enjoy it as well. So I don't know. Maybe during this vlog we'll get a lot more done. That is kind of my reading check-in for the volume 3 of Spooky Season reading adventures. I hope you're all having a splendid day, and I will be checking in very soon. I don't know what the plans are for well, actually, I got a lot of schoolwork to do as always. So that is my plan for the day. But I will definitely be finishing Harry Potter, and I'm scared. Pray for me. Hello, I'm reporting to you on this very dreary, cloudy fall day. It is freezing cold. Not freezing, it's like 50 degrees, and that is just perfect. I'm tired of the heat. And it is now Tuesday afternoon. I think I mentioned that already. I've completely lost my mind. School has just fried it. I had my class this morning. I had my Global Revolution class. Always a joy. That class is one of my favorites, so it's always a joy to kind of attend. And we just started Cuba, and that is one of my favorite topics to cover. But also yesterday, last night, I finished Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Somehow, I pushed through it. There at the end, I had a feeling that I knew a lot of things were going to happen, and I was going to be completely heartbroken. But I pushed through and finished it. And it broke my heart. That's all I'm gonna say. I cried. Yeah, that's what happened. I was really hoping, like, just the whole book, like the whole series in general, like, I was really hoping for Snape and he would kind of come through and he would be good in the end. But what he did, and I'm gonna go into spoilers here, so if you haven't read it yet, skip ahead a little bit. But what he did to Dumbledore, I don't know if that's forgivable. Like, Dumbledore is one of my favorite characters, and he killed him. Snape, come on, man. I was hoping for you. Now no more. You're like my mortal enemy. I'm gonna hunt you down. I don't even think I can finish the series now without Dumbledore. That's how heartbroken I am, because him, Mrs. Weasley, and Hagrid, Luna, some of my favorite characters, and Dumbledore's gone. But it also leaves me hanging, because I really need to figure out what happens in that final book. And I've been debating whether I should pick it up after finishing A Deadly Education. I've just been on a magical school kind of ride, and I've been looking for everything magical school or magic. And I started A Deadly Education this morning, and I've made my way through it a little bit, and so far it's really interested me. I like kind of the setup of how this magic school has just got monsters lurking around, but they're basically just fighting to survive. And Elle, our perspective that we follow, is in her senior year, and she's been struggling to kind of work her way into an enclave, which are kind of like the nobility of kind of just society. and she's been struggling to like graduate as well. And I just love how the setup of the school and how it's kind of dark and dreary, and it's got like this void aspect that's really cool. Like it's almost like Hogwarts, where it kind of shifts and changes, but with like the void, if you think about something, it kind of will change and alter just the whole kind of school to what you're thinking. So that I'm interested to see how it'll play a role farther in. There's also dark wizards within the class that are kind of using others' souls basically and their energy to create a magic, and I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically like dark magic users, and they harness people's abilities and they'll kill them and then take their kind of mana, I believe it's called, and use it. But then Elle, she only uses mana, and so she has to do like push-ups and all that stuff to kind of create a little bit of energy so she can use. So it's just been really interesting. I'm really hoping to get more in depth with it, like as I continue to read on. And I'm still making my way through Edge of Eternity. I looked, and that is like 29 parts, and I've been listening to it for a while now, and I'm only on part 15. 15 out of 29. That is like the largest of all three of the books, I think. But I've been enjoying it a lot. There's a lot of drama and new things are happening. The Cold War has been kind of easing a little bit, but here pretty soon is going to kick off with the space race, which I'm really enjoying and hoping for. That has been my kind of reading check, and now I get to chill and just read more of A Deadly Education, because I am just dead from school. Howdy friends, I hope you're all having a splendid day. I'm freezing cold here on this Wednesday afternoon. This morning when I looked at the thermometer on my AC thing, it was 64 degrees. In my apartment, that's how cold it was this morning, but I love it. I'm sick of the heat. I mentioned this probably a ton of times, and it has just been a blast to finally be back in this fall season approaching winter. I just had a bunch of class today, getting over some kind of reflections, doing classwork, a lot of schoolwork. I've been juggling it all somehow. And I also got a lot of reading done for A Deadly Education as well, mixed in during kind of eating lunch and that kind of stuff. And yesterday when I tried describing it, I was completely butchering everything. And when I went back and watched that footage, it needed to be cut. So now I am going to give a better description, I hope, of what's really going on, because that other stuff was terrible. So in A Deadly Education, we are basically set in a magic school that is essentially trying to kill you. There's little monsters and big monsters kind of lurking around school, hiding in the shadows, in the kind of school-o-mance, and they're called mouths. But basically these mouths are trying to kind of take the mana of the students, which is kind of their magical power, their entity within them that they can kind of draw on for magic. And we follow El Gadriel, who is kind of the main perspective of the whole thing, all through kind of a first-person description, and it is really interesting. It is very inner dialogue and info dumpy, it seems. It's not so much as like a world-building aspect, it's mostly as just like getting a lot of information out there, and sometimes it is very annoying. Like they'll be fighting, like a Mao or something else will be going on, and then it'll just go on a completely different tangent and just tell a whole bunch of information. And I mean, a lot of people dislike that about it. I mean, I do as well sometimes, but I like also kind of learning more about the school. I just like the whole setting of the school and kind of the dark hallways and just everything about it just being kind of dark and spooky and monsters kind of lurking around. But there's also like no teachers, and that's kind of a thing that also bummed me a little bit, because with Hogwarts you have like the professors and everything and you could connect with them, and I really enjoyed that. But this is basically themselves teaching everything, and I like this, like the whole, they can have like the different students can have like different affinities or different magical abilities, and Elle is basically, her affinity is for mass destruction, but she doesn't want to show it because people will think that she is like a Maleficent or a Maleficer or something like that, which is basically like a dark wizard, and they're just using other people's mana, and they're basically killing them and drawing their mana and then using it for themselves, and she doesn't want to use her affinity because they'll think she's evil. And that's how she kind of meets Orion. He basically starts following her around because he's basically like the protector of everyone, and he's the hero of everyone. And there's not a lot of character growth with him, sadly. But following Elle's like the main perspective, like she's just kind of like a loner, and she's like a negative Nancy on everything. Like she is one of the most unlikable characters I've ever encountered. Like slowly here, and I'm about almost 200 pages in, like she's starting to get a little bit better, but still, like she's just negative and just, yeah, everything. She just hates everyone. She doesn't she doesn't want any friends, even when they try and like bring her into kind of their groups or anything. Like she's like, nah, I'm gonna do it all by myself until we have to go to graduation, and then I will be your friend. And there's another kind of cool thing about the story is like they are basically go through this kind of, the school every year kind of shifts down, and then at the final year there's like this giant kind of auditorium where all the mouths are kind of just growing and getting stronger, and that is basically your graduation. Like there's the gates and the mouths are kind of guarding it, and you have to fight your way out. So I like that as well. But there's like this aspect of like enclaves, which are basically like the nobility of the kind of this world, and enclaves have kind of special kind of things that they have, whether it's like special crystals or anything that they can kind of draw power in instead of kind of drawing it out of themselves or from others. And they just have a lot of advantages, and that's why a lot of students and other kids are trying to get into the enclaves, but it's very hard because they're not the nicest people, and they are very selective of who they come in. And that's basically like the whole goal of after graduation and through school, is you want to get into an enclave so that you have a life. And I'm very interested to see what like the deeper plot is. I don't know if it's just graduation, because if it is, then it might be kind of boring, because so far what has been going on hasn't been that interesting, and it's disappointing because I loved all the other things that I've read from Naomi Novik. But like I still, like despite like the info dumpy and the unlikable character and just everything about kind of Elle, I really like the school setting. Despite like not having like the professors there, like I love just the whole setting of it, the dark and spooky things. There's also like this thing called like the void, which is basically like the school's conscience, and you can like walk around the school, and if you think about one thing, like this school will be like, nah, you ain't getting that, and it'll completely shift like the school or the library. Like if you're searching for a certain book, they'll like the school will like be like, no, you're not getting that book, and then they'll give you a whole different section of different books. So like just everything about like the school and everything was really cool. So like if it was less like a lot of info dumpy about Elle and more of kind of world building, I think if it was like third person, it would have been so much better. And I think it really struggles as being first person through Elle's kind of viewpoint, because she's just so negative. And it's just been hard to read because I try not to be that negative. But other than that, like I just enjoy, like it's hard to debate like whether I like this or not, because I like the setting. I don't really like the main perspective. I like Orion, but he needs a little bit more character growth. I like the enclaves, monsters, setting, everything. Also, I kind of listened to a little bit of Edge of Eternity. It's been just the same old kind of stuff, drama. It's almost getting closer to the Vietnam War. But it just seems like it's just been kind of dragging on a little bit. Like, I don't know, this has been like a long kind of couple years that they've had to discuss, and everything that's kind of occurring. It has been just a lot to cover, so I understand that. And I don't know how many pages this is. I need to just look, because this is a giant book. I've been listening to it for like over 2 weeks, and I'm almost halfway through. That's how Ken Follett writes his book. I don't know how he manages to get it all between the pages. But that's kind of all the reading I've been doing. I would think I'm gonna cook some korma, some veggie korma, and then just chill and read some more of Deadly Education and push through, and hopefully it gets better here pretty soon. Elle's kind of making a little bit of journey, but I'm hoping she'll take a step forward and kind of accept some friends. She started to accept some friends, and just see her journey kind of grow, because I really just like everything about it. It's just she needs to change her attitude. It's almost like the school was for like Slytherins. I don't know. If anybody else read it and they got that vibe, please let me know. Just let me know what you think about it, because it's very interesting. It's very debatable. A lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people do like it. So I'm right on the fence right now. So I'm interested to see where I'll fall at the end. That's kind of all I've been going on. Hope you're all having a splendid day, and I'll be checking in hopefully here pretty soon. Dinner is served. We got a little bit of a homemade vegetable korma and some quinoa over there boiling. Delicioso. Good afternoon, my friends, on this very chilly Thursday day. It has been another day. I think the high was 45 degrees, and I'm loving it. I've said this several times. I don't miss the heat at all. Even though I have to walk a mile to class every day, I do not miss the heat. Walking through that cold wind, I take that any day. But I just had my kind of global revolutions class again this morning. That was great. We're continuing to learn more about Cuba and its revolution, and just talking more about Che and Castro and just everything else that went on between them. Those two, and then Batista, the kind of dictator that was ruling over Cuba at the time. So it's been all very interesting. And then I also got a little bit more reading done on A Deadly Education, and it's been sadly the same stuff. It's just been kind of boring, and I'm sad to say that. I love the setting of the school and the monsters like lurking, and they're basically just they're always prepared for an attack, and I like kind of that aspect of it. But I just like the plot of the whole thing is just Elle trying to kind of form an alliance for next year's graduation, I believe, because she's a junior, and she gets invites to like the enclaves, which is one of the things she has always wanted to do, but she just turns them down, and she's slowly starting to make some friends and then make alliances with these friends. But other than that, nothing really goes on. It does a little bit of world building mixed in with kind of the info dumping, but it is mostly info dumping and just Elle giving random dialogue and history of her life, or kind of the world building aspects of just this world. And it's hard to debate as to whether I'd like it or not, because sometimes it's just completely a drag and it bores me to death, but other times I do like it, so it's hard to tell. But I'm hoping that in this last little 100 pages it'll really start to kick off and really take a turn in a better sense, because I will most definitely read the second book, because I believe this is only a duology, and I think if there was more of a kind of trilogy or a series, this would have been a ton better, because Naomi Nova could have kind of not just thrown everything in within this first book, and just find it expanded more through several books. But I'm looking forward to these last couple hundred pages and seeing where it goes. Still going through Edge of Eternity. I'm finally at part 20 out of 29, and I looked how many pages this is. It's only 1,100 words. So that's pretty much average, but it just seems like this one is just a ton longer than the other ones. Right now it's getting into more of just the Vietnam War and hippies and all that kind of music stuff, the Beatles, punk or pop bands, and just a lot of drama. That's been what's really going on, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the space race. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to. For the rest of the day, it's almost 4 o'clock now, so now I'm just gonna relax. It's supposed to start raining here pretty soon, so that is just the perfect atmosphere for this kind of spooky school. And I will have some leftover korma from last night that was very good, homemade. I'm not a professional cook at all, but that was pretty good, and I'm not bragging on myself, but that was good. So I hope you're all having a splendid day, and I'll check in with you here pretty soon. Maybe it'll start raining, hopefully. I hope so. We haven't got rain in a while, and I would really like a good atmosphere for getting into this book. Guess what I woke up to this morning? I got out of bed and I saw Izzy kind of pawing something on the floor, and I went over and looked, and it was a scorpion. She had killed the scorpion. She protected me in the night. I'll like include a picture somewhere up here. Like, it was a little scorpion, and I think it was like Indiana Jones who said that the little ones are always the worst. So she really saved me there. She killed a little scorpion. And then also yesterday it started raining a little bit, and then it started sleeting. It dropped to below freezing last night, and it started sleeting. This early in October, maybe we'll get some snow here pretty soon. I'm in the mood for it already, so I don't know. And then today it's pretty sunny, so I don't know what Colorado's deal is. It's always been kind of changing its weather moods the whole time, all the time. I'm close to the end now of Deadly Education, and here at the end, like, I've been enjoying it a ton more than in the beginning. Like, it still has like kind of the little bit of info dumping and world building a little bit, but L is slowly starting to change, and then it was kind of doing kind of like the main plot of the story, I guess, but I would consider it more kind of like a side quest. Like, all of the whole book has been kind of like side quest just to kind of survive school, but here at the end it's kind of been like the main kind of side quest, I guess. But I've just really been enjoying it a ton more, even though it's like still got that info dumping. It's just been like the character change in kind of Elle, and just seeing her kind of make friends and discover more about the school. That is something, like, I love the school so much. I've probably said that a ton of times, so it's gonna be hard to give a final rating to it. And I'm also interested to see where it'll go in the next book, because of what they did in this kind of final side quest. I don't know where it will go in the next book. And actually, look, this is supposed to be a trilogy. So I don't know, because she's a junior this year, so she'll be graduating next year. So I don't know what that third book will be about, essentially. And then I'm not even sure why Naomi Novik did kind of like this whole info dump in the beginning, if it was going to be 3 books. Like, I don't know. It's something very interesting, and I hope that it improves in the second book. I also got to the sad part about the kind of assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in The Edge of Eternity, and it's just been seeing how kind of the different perspectives have all been impacted by that, and it's also been with the kind of Russian kind of perspectives. Dmitry is basically traveling to Czechoslovakia for kind of that whole situation going on during kind of the Soviet Union and kind of the spread of communism, and it's been interesting to learn more about that. But I'm hoping for more of the space race. Like, it hasn't touched on much of it. I'm hoping here pretty soon with kind of the moon landing, that'll be interesting, and seeing how the perspectives will kind of impact that. If they do, I hope they do, because I love space. But I just got class today. I got my digital history class later today, and it's really interesting. We're starting to do our projects. So we've got our groups together, and now we're making like a project to submit for a grant for the school. So it's going to be very kind of like intensive, and I'm actually on the Adobe Premiere team, which will be fun. We're going to create kind of like a little video description of, we're not sure yet kind of what our topic's going to be yet, but that's one of my favorite classes. But it is a sunny day, so I'm probably going to go outside, get some fresh air, and I'll take you along, because the leaves are even prettier now. There's some that are kind of like cherry red, and they're just beautiful. But I got a video film today, so it's been a productive morning already, and I gotta get some homework done and then head to class. So I'll hope to check in here pretty soon after class. Hopefully it's a long class, so I don't know, but I hope to see you guys here pretty soon. Morning, my friends. I hope you're all doing splendid. It is now Sunday morning. It has been a couple days since I checked in. I finished A Deadly Education, and I did like the ending, even though it wasn't that much of a cliffhanger. It kind of was just setting up for kind of senior year, and just like, I did like the way it kind of ended and set everything up, but I was hoping for a little bit more kind of from the ending, But I did enjoy kind of like that second half of the book once Elle kind of started to change a teeny bit, just a teeny bit, and we got to see more of just the school and just everything about it. So it's gonna be like I'm stuck on determining whether to give it like a 3.5 or like a 4 stars, because I really just enjoyed like that whole school setting, despite like it not having the professors and the connection with them. But I did like the kind of dangerous aspects about it, and it trying to kind of having the malls and other monsters trying to get you. I really enjoyed that. So, and it was just like tough with Elle and the first person point of view and kind of like the info dumping. So like I don't know what to do. I might just settle in between. I don't usually do that, but it's tough. But I can't wait to pick up the second book and see where it goes in the senior year. I don't know where it will go after in the third book, but maybe I'll find out in the second book. I'm racing against the clock for Edge of Eternity. I only have like 2 days left on my library loan, and I've got 5 parts still to go, so that's another 5 hours. I'm open since today. I have to do all my laundry and stuff like that. I'll be listening to a lot of it because I have a lot to make up on it. It's not like it's boring or anything. Like there's definitely some slow parts throughout. It's just it's a long book and listening to like 29 parts of it has been crazy. And I'm just racing against the clock, that library loan, to finish it. I'm like really bummed that it didn't cover much of the space race. Like I thought that was like one of the most key kind of events that occurred during kind of like the 60s, the 70s, and then a little bit of the 80s, but we haven't got anything really. This also has been some cringy parts, and that's also kind of similar to all of his books that I've read. There's definitely some cringy parts, and then there's some cringy characters, and one of them is just really weirding me out, and it's definitely tough to listen to because I'm just like, ooh, what is this guy doing? But I'm liking everything that I've kind of listened to. Right now it's kind of dealing with Poland and it kind of trying to gain its freedom from the USSR, and just seeing how both sides are kind of impacting that decision. And it's also, since like this is the final book in the trilogy, it's wrapping up a lot of kind of the older perspectives, and they're sadly like dying of old age or other things, and it's just kind of wrapping up the whole series in general. And it's just crazy to see how like through the 3 books, like all these different families and individuals have kind of stuck together and kind of interacted with each other through a lot of time. And it's just crazy to see how, despite like boundaries of kind of like the wall or wars and everything, they've still kind of came back to each other in the end. So I will definitely check out more by Ken Follett in the future. I'll have to go look at some of the other reviews Jeremy Fee has done on some of his other books and kind of decide where I should go. But if you have any recommendations, please let me know. And I am currently about halfway through Dune Messiah, and this is kind of my series read-along pick for my channel for the Biblionauts. And it's been very interesting getting back into Arrakis and kind of readjusting to all those scientific terms, because it's been a while since I've read like a high adult sci-fi fantasy, since I read Dune last month. But I'm enjoying kind of the new aspects that Frank Herbert is adding in with like the skin dancers and just more of Arrakis and more of kind of the Bene Gesserit, I can never say that right, but just like them and learning more about them. And it's kind of 12 years in the future now, so it's kind of dealing with his religious jihad and kind of the events that occurred after that, and just Paul trying to deal with fixing everything and kind of dealing with all the visions in his mind from the melange, I think, and kind of understanding how different visions that he gets impacts his world. So it's been really interesting. It's been actually kind of a quick read. I think this is probably the shortest of the series, but it's kind of, this one's very political and just kind of, it shows both sides, as kind of Paul is trying to remain on the throne as emperor, and just the other side trying to overthrow him and get rid of his kind of his rule. So it's been interesting getting both sides, but it's been pretty political and kind of no wars or anything going on. It's just kind of been the secret stuff. But I think I'm going to cut off the vlog here and kind of maybe start another one or just depending on where I get with Dune and throughout the day, and we'll see where it goes. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Please consider liking and subscribing so you never miss out on another adventure. But I'm going to leave you with a message from Ellie, who said that adventure is out there, but she also wishes you a good day. So I'll catch you later. Bye.